Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Now, in my last video, I went through the basics of what it's like living with Aspergers and tried to do it from two points of view. From the point of view of someone with Aspergers and the point of view of someone who's neurotypical, who might not understand enough about Aspergers to be able to appreciate an autistic person's differences. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something a little bit more specific, something that I experienced myself, which my Aspergers made very difficult. And I don't know, this is not really something that everyone with Aspergers will be able to relate to, but nonetheless, I hope it's helpful. So, this is about having Aspergers and moving school. Now, when I was, it was about halfway through year 9, so I must have been about 13 or something. I moved school and I moved halfway across the country. I moved from Wales down to the south of England, which is where I live now, because of my dad's work. It was a new place, new school, new friends to make, everything was completely new. And one of the traits of people with Asperger's is that they dislike change. They dislike changes in their routine, they dislike having their plans interrupted, they basically just dislike any form of change. They like to have a set routine, set tasks, set times, and so the move, based on what I've just said, was very, very stressful. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what you can do to try and make a good start at a new school if you have Asperger's. Now, when you go to a new school, because in my case, I went there on my own completely. I didn't have any other friends from primary school. I went there entirely on my own. One of the first things you can do is just be an approachable, presentable person. So you can just do things like doing your hair, for example, or wearing some good clothes, and just having good hygiene, have a good haircut, etc. Just look like you care, really. Look like you want to be there. Look like an approachable person. So this is one thing you can do just to try and make yourself a bit more liked at school, and just makes you less likely to be isolated because of your presentation, for example, because of how you present yourself. Another thing you can do, now this goes without saying, just be yourself. Now that sounds very self-explanatory, but this is quite an important thing, because often when people go to new schools, or they're starting out in a new place, they kind of want to look really I don't know, confident. They might be a bit cocky, a bit delusional when it comes to confidence, and not draw the line between confidence and cockiness. Obviously for me it was difficult. I had Asperger's, and a lot of people with Asperger's tend to struggle with understanding things like humour and jokes and getting involved with banter. I mentioned this briefly in my other video. I mean, this is very difficult for people with Asperger's because, especially when fitting into a new school, they're just trying to make new friends, trying to fit in, and trying to not be labelled as different. And there's nothing wrong with being different, but in a new place, it's fundamental that you might be labelled, and people don't want that. So just be yourself. Another thing, now this is optional, because this doesn't work for everybody. This is something that at the time, it didn't personally work for me, but looking back on it, I think it might have done, because it can actually be really helpful if you just, if you do it really. And this is getting support at school, so maybe going to a learning support group, for example, or a lunchtime club, or getting some kind of help from your teacher or your parent talking to the school, and just getting some kind of extra support where you can meet other people who maybe have the same condition as you, and just get help from teachers, because starting in a new school, it is quite a big thing. It can be very overwhelming, and some people just need someone to guide them and just open that door for them. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, like I said, because in my case, I thought that if I got extra help, went to support groups, it might just single me out. It might actually single me out as being even more different. So people might look at him and think, oh, he's a special kid, he needs help, or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think at the time, I thought there was something wrong with that. But there's actually nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being different and needing a bit of extra help. So this is something you can do. Now, this is another thing. This is a very big thing, and I'm hopefully going to do another video on it later in a bit more detail. Bullying. Like I said earlier, when it comes to things like jokes and group activities and, I don't know, having a laugh and talking about certain topics of interest, sometimes people with Asperger's just can't naturally pick up on that like other people can, and so that will cause them to be socially alienated or conversationally just left out, and therefore people might see them as being vulnerable because they don't know what's going on, and then what they'll do is they'll kind of take advantage of you and kind of like, I don't know, bully you or manipulate you or get you to do silly stuff. It's just for their enjoyment really, and they're just trying to use you. Now, when it comes to bullying, now this is very cliche, but it is the most important thing. You've just got to show them that you're just not frightened of them. Just ignore them. That is very cliche, and that expression is used quite a lot when it comes to bullying in school these days, but it is true. Just ignore them. Just don't respond. And the chances are, if eventually they keep doing it and they don't get a reaction, they're just going to stop and move on. Or in my case, although this didn't happen straight away, but I just ignored people. Like, there was a time in class, I was sitting in the classroom, it was in the middle of a class, a couple of kids came over and they started basically just trying to get a reaction out of me by punching me, by kicking me, by flicking my ears, throwing bits of plasticine in my head. Now, of course, bullying gets much worse than that. I'm not trying to victimise myself here at all. Bullying gets way worse than that. But yeah, and I just didn't react at all. I mean, I tried to make them stop by just kind of saying stop, but I didn't, get up and, retaliate. And eventually, other people around just kind of thought, hang on, just leave him alone. Like, he's done nothing to you. Like, why are you doing that? You just look like an idiot. And eventually they stopped. That is one of the benefits of ignoring people, because eventually other people around you will just see that what they're doing is just not okay. Anyway, I hope this video has been really useful. Anyone watching who has Aspergers, or doesn't have Aspergers, who's experienced a time when they're moving school. It's all very scary. It's a new place. It's exciting, of course, but it's also very scary. New place, new people, just new things to figure out, got to make new friends. And yeah, I hope it's been very helpful. I hope people with Asperger's can relate to this. If you are going through a time when you're moving school, I hope this video has been useful. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.